Hey, it's Jeff Cannata with another newest, latest, best mini. This is kind of the newest, latest, best mini. I mean, there isn't a bigger movie. There isn't a more important experience than Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. At least for me. As much as I love the Marvel movies, as much as there are great, big, exciting experiences to be had in cinema, and I try to cover all of them on this channel, Star Wars is it for me. I grew up on it, I fantasized about it, and this movie is really the most anticipated movie in my entire life. Maybe, well, I guess episode 1 maybe been more anticipated, but ended up being a little disappointing. So this is the redemption of the Star Wars franchise. And this video is going to probably be a little longer than most of my videos, and it's probably going to be a little more self-indulgent, so I hope you bear with me, because I'm doing this not only to share my feelings with you, but really to have a record for myself of the evening that I had. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning after seeing the Star Wars premiere in Hollywood. They shut down Hollywood Boulevard and tented the entire place. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go to this premiere that really was an event unlike anything I've ever been to. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. I promise I will not spoil anything about the movie, because I think this is a movie that deserves to be seen without spoilers. I certainly stayed away from everything for the last 2 years in anticipation of seeing this movie, so I'm really glad I did. I won't spoil the movie for you. I will talk about some specific things that I liked and didn't like, but I will keep them as general and vague as possible so that you won't have anything to worry about. I'll make that very clear right at the top. Okay, so I was thrilled all day long in anticipation of leaving and going to the premiere. There was a dress code. Excuse me. There was a dress code, so everybody was dressed formally. So that kind of added to the specialness. My wife and I went down to Hollywood Boulevard very early. We were worried about parking. I was worried about shutting the streets down. I was nervous and anxious all day and didn't want anything to go wrong. And honestly, it couldn't have gone more smoothly. We got down, we parked, we ended up having a nice little dinner beforehand. And it was very, very cold, unusually cold for Los Angeles with a brisk wind. It was a very cold dinner, but we then met up with the people that were hooking the tickets up for us and got into this long line, went through metal detectors. There were famous celebrities walking by all over the place with their kids, people that you would know dressed up. There were people everywhere. Security everywhere. The event was handled in an extremely professional manner. There were people, employees lined up all over the place. They just threw bodies at this problem, which is really the smartest thing they could have done. It really felt smooth. There was no problem. We went through the metal detector, wrapped around, and we were fortunate. We picked up our lanyards and our badges at the will call section, which was sort of outside at the big entrance of the red carpet. And we were fortunate enough to be in the Dolby Theater. The Dolby Theater is the theater that was built to house the Academy Awards. So I was very excited because they were showing it in 3 theaters, including the El Capitan, which I find to be a very bad venue to see movies. So I was worried that we would be put in there. But we were in the Dolby, which was sort of the premier theater, walking down that red carpet with the giant Star Wars logo on the tent with neon decorations everywhere. You walk right in. There's a bunch of stormtrooper costumes that are mocked up. And this massive, massive stretch of Hollywood Boulevard is tented, and you go inside the tent. It was a lot warmer in there, and there's people everywhere. Everyone dressed elegantly. There are Star Wars stations and decorations all within that building, and neon everywhere that looks like, the red neon of the Imperials, or in this case I won't say, but and the blue neon of the Rebels, and that sort of iconic Star Wars look all through this tent. I managed to meet up with some of my friends and fellow coworkers from the Slash Filmcast and the old TRS days, and we were all so excited, and just that feeling of being part of something special was great. So this was not just seeing the movie. This was an event. And then we walked in and we were all talking about how excited we were and what a crazy experience it was. And people were walking by. John Williams walked by at one point. J.J. Abrams walked by at one point. They were stars from all kinds from the movies. We walked in right behind Adam Driver, and there were stars from TV, and it was just it felt like the place to be in Los Angeles at that moment, and it was just amazing to be around it and be part of it and feel like everybody is excited about this movie. It is a cultural touchstone for everyone. And I was, I was tingly. My skin was goosebumped, and I couldn't believe what we were about to experience. We went into the Dolby Theater. I was sitting on the mezzanine. My wife and I had lucked out with amazing tickets right in the center. And, it felt like this gala event. And then Bob Iger came out from Disney, gave a speech, and Kathleen Kennedy came out and gave a speech, and J.J. Abrams came out and gave a speech and introduced the entire cast who all came on stage. And I was genuinely touched by the sentiments that they expressed, the way the cast all seemed, especially the triumvirate of Hamill, Ford, and Fisher. They all just felt special. It felt like everybody was glad to be there and understood the gravitas of the event and what this movie means to people like me, and I'm assuming people like you if you're watching this. So then the lights dimmed and the movie started, and I have to say it felt. The best thing I can tell you about this movie is that it feels like Star Wars. It is the most Star Wars. It feels like we're back. It is that feeling that you want to have of familiarity and freshness butting up against one another. The beats feel like Star Wars. The look feels like Star Wars. The characters have the swagger of Star Wars. And that's what I think is so missing from those prequel films, is that swagger, is that confidence, is that wink. And Han Solo has that in the first movie, in A New Hope, but the whole movie kind of has that. It's a fun, confident movie. It knows what it wants to be, and even Luke Skywalker you just want to be around that guy. And thank God these characters, again, I want to be around them. I enjoy being with them. The casting of this movie is impeccable. Daisy, what's her name? I should know her name because everyone is going to know her name. She plays Rey in the movie, and she is a superstar. She is a superstar. She is going to be a massive movie star because she has whatever that it quality is that makes someone incredibly watchable, and you just fall in love with her, not in a romantic way, but just in a I want to be around this person all the time way. She is a find. John Boyega is excellent as well. Oscar Isaac. Everyone has those wonderful character moments that happen in the middle of action. There's a lot of humor in the movie. I was smiling and laughing and loving these characters and loving being around them, and that is what Star Wars needs. Episode 1 actually has more awesome moments in it. The action set pieces, the Duel of the Fates fight with Darth Maul is more spectacular visually than anything that happens in The Force Awakens. Truly. But everything that happens in The Force Awakens matters more because I care about the people I'm watching. I care about the characters. I immediately love these people and want to be in this world, and that is Star Wars. That is Star Wars. It's not just spectacle. In fact, spectacle should take a second seat to character and experience and investment in the universe, investment in the world. And that is what the prequels got so wrong, is yes, we're seeing things on a visual scale we have never seen before, but I'm not invested in Anakin Skywalker. I'm not invested in a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. These aren't people I want to hang out with. They seem staid and boring and stale, and the relationship between Queen Amidala and Anakin never has any sparks. There is more sparks in the first 5 minutes of this movie. The first 5 minutes doesn't really have any kind of that, but you know what I'm saying. That this movie accomplishes that so well, and that is truly the mark of what I wanted out of Star Wars. It is not reinventing the wheel. There are a lot of tropes that are familiar in this movie. There are a lot of there's a template that sort of mirrors A New Hope that I think some people may find a little too reverent, but I did not. I do have major gripes with the movie. It's not perfect. I think I have at least 3 or maybe 4 major gripes. And I'm going to say what they are. I'm going to say them vaguely, but if you really want to stay completely unsullied for this movie, you may want to stop the video now. I'm not going to be specific at all. I'm not going to... so just take that as fair warning. My first major gripe is that everyone seems to know how to use a lightsaber, and I just don't think that should be the way it is. It felt like Luke really had to learn how to use a lightsaber in A New Hope, with the helmet on, and it felt clumsy, and it was a strange experience for him. And somehow everyone who picks up a lightsaber in this movie knows how to use it pretty well without any training, and that bothered me. The second major problem I had is that the major threat of this movie is a little redundant, I think, and also it doesn't matter when it is thwarted. I'll leave it at that. The dealing with the big problem in this movie, the big threat in this movie, gets subsumed to something that is much more interesting on a character level. But it's a shame that Return of the Jedi, the ending of Return of the Jedi, manages to make everything equally important. The Battle of Endor is equally important with Luke fighting Vader and Palpatine, and it feels like, and then the space battle that's happening with Lando and the Millennium Falcon. All of that stuff is given equal weight, and we're invested in each. And each time you cut to the new sequence, you're like, "Oh my God, what's happening here?" And I don't feel like everything that happens at the end of this movie has equal weight. There are other details that bother me. Things that seem like MacGuffins that I wish had more of an explanation, but we have more films to come that hopefully will flesh things out. Overall, I found the movie thrilling and fun. It reignited that thing inside me that I think had been dampened a little from the prequels. I was bouncing up and down like a little kid, seeing familiar characters. I truly wish, I know it's impossible in this day and age, but I truly wish we didn't know that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were involved in any way in this movie. I wish they had managed to keep that a secret, because I think that would have been a truly remarkable moment when we see any of those characters. But that's just not the reality of the way the world works now. I really truly love this movie. It has flaws. It has big flaws that I think a lot of people are going to pick apart. But overall, the feeling of it is spot on. The characters, I can't wait to revisit them. I can't wait for episode 8. I want to know what happens next, and I want to be around those people. I mean, that's truly, there are so many moments when we left the theater and walked out and reconvened, and a bunch of my friends sat in a circle. We didn't leave until midnight, and it was because we just stood around and talked about moments and talked about decisions and talked about these little character things that happened and went, "Oh my God, that moment when person X did this. Oh my gosh, it's crazy." My third big gripe is the character that Andy Serkis plays. That was the one moment where I was like, "Ooh, this is..." But it's only briefly seen, and maybe there's more to learn about that character. But for the most part, like, we stood around and we just had so much. There's so much there. It's a rich movie. It's a dense movie. There are tons of homages to the original trilogy. There are so many things that are rewards for investment in that universe and in that world, and it feels like a true it's not fan service, but it feels like it's true to the fan spirit, and I think that is really not an easy thing to pull off, but thank goodness they did. And also my wife, who is certainly not as invested in Star Wars as I am, still enjoyed the movie a lot, just on the level of adventure tale, right? She is not as invested in these characters, and certainly not as familiar with this world as I am. She can't quote chapter and verse like I can of the original trilogy, but she still had a great time because the new characters we're introduced to are great. They're fun. It's a fun film. It remembers that Star Wars is supposed to be funny and entertaining and have a swagger. I can't wait to hear what all of you think about it. This is going to be a very special time. And I hope you stay away from spoilers, because there are some big moments in the movie that I think are land in a very, very fun way. And we will be talking about this on the Slash Filmcast. We're going to do a very special episode for Star Wars, and the big question is it better than Fury Road, which is, I think, the best movie that came out this year, certainly the best action movie. And the answer, I don't think, is a yes. I think it is a no. I don't think this movie is as gobsmacking as Fury Road, but that's okay, because it's Star Wars and it's back. And it's back, and it's back, and we're gonna get a Star Wars movie every year, and it's in good hands. And these are people, and I couldn't be more excited for Episode 8 because it's Rian Johnson, and like that guy, what that guy is gonna do with this setup, like that's like the cleanup hitter is coming in, and we just had a guy get on base. A guy hit a double, and he's in scoring position, and Rian Johnson's gonna come in as the cleanup hitter and put us in the lead, and that's. I have so much confidence in him and what this movie sets up with these great characters across the board. Adam Driver is phenomenal. There's great performances everywhere. I've been talking for a lot longer than I should have, but I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and this movie rewards that love in the same way that I think the prequel trilogy didn't. Sadly, this movie makes it okay to love Star Wars again. It's going to bring in a whole new generation of people to love Star Wars. And it really feels like this is going to be an enduring tale that will go on forever. And I couldn't be more happy. So, Star Wars for life! Hey, why not subscribe to this channel and tell your friends? I'm going to be talking about all kinds of stuff here. And it's a safe place where no spoilers hang out. So I hope you dig that as well. And also check out the Slash Filmcast at slashfilmcast.com. Until next time, may the Force be with you.